Yo, what is good? What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode here on the channel, and I'm glad to be here this Wednesday, hump day. I believe it's Wednesday. Yeah, it's Wednesday. Yeah, I just had to double check to make sure. But we got a little bit to talk about in today's live stream. First off, I'm going to go over the whole thing with the FPT front page tech and Apple, and just kind of break it down for people to kind of really understand, right? There's a lot being tossed out there regarding this lawsuit that Apple has on John Prosser. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I'll try to break it down into layman's terms for everybody to pretty much understand what's going on with this lawsuit. How does this impact content creators going forward, right? With leaks from tech companies, and why does this even happen? I mean, a lot of people have been tossing out some reasons, but I'll try to break that down and make it as understandable as possible. Also going to talk about the road to Pixel 10, which next month, August 20th, is the Made by Google event, and I will be covering that event live. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about what the guesstimation specs are. What do we think about the colorways? All those things will be talked about, as well as a little bit of help for new content creators in the tech space to kind of help you guys get a good footing of, getting in there. And of course, I've been on this journey. I've been on this absolute crazy journey of just trying to debunk a lot of what creators think about, like the YouTube algorithm and stuff like that, to kind of help people grow, as it's something that I am learning to do. And when I learn to do something, I get pretty excited about it, that I want to share that knowledge with everybody so everybody else can pick up on it, maybe do, as good or even do way better than me, like we'll see how that goes. So I'll be sharing a little bit of tips at the end, and I'll be doing that a lot on these live streams. So you want to keep it locked in all the way through. Glad to have you here. B-Tech, what's up, man? Glad to have you here. So let's go into the hot story, this situation between John Prosser from Front Page Tech and Apple, as Apple, they're suing him. They're suing him for leaks of iOS 26. You just got home from work. Wow, man. What time is it? Oh, wait, it's like 12:20 p.m. I was gonna say a.m. What the hell? But yeah, we're gonna cover a lot about that, because I mean, the last video that I did where I talked about it, there's been a lot of just thoughts tossed about, and a lot of people think, it's because iOS 26 is crappy, and so they're mad that, he leaked it. And it really has nothing to do with that. It's not even the fact that he leaked it, right? Because Apple has no control really of, tech journalism. But there are lines drawn in the sand of what a tech journalist can and cannot do. And this is going to be the foundation of Apple's lawsuit against John Prosser. So basically, for those who don't know, Apple is suing John Prosser because he had gotten leaked images of what at the time it was known as iOS 19, before it was officially named iOS 26. He had gotten visuals of it and was able to leak that to people out there. So when you have this leak and everything, which Apple tries to be tight-lipped about things, not like Google, right? Google's not too concerned about leaks. As a matter of fact, it just builds hype around their product. But Apple is exactly the other way, right? Apple's very closed off. I mean, if you even try to live react to an Apple event, you may be thinking to yourself like, oh, I am helping them get the word out, but to them, you're stealing their thunder, and they'll strike you for it. So Apple's very closed off. And the fact is that when it came to surface on how John Prosser got all this information, that is the foundation of why they are suing them. So the story goes pretty much as this. John Prosser has a friend who, I guess the friend's roommate or the friend had, access to the person's home, apparently got a hold of a iPhone demo unit, basically, that was demoing iOS 19, right? So now, basically we have an idea that Apple employees, some are chosen to be able to use, what's coming up for Apple's big play, to be able to beta test, right? So this is before beta testing is even sent out to, to everyday consumers. Because everyday consumers and app developers can get a hold of iOS beta. My iPhone 12 is on iOS 26 beta 4. I just took the update last night, so I'll be checking things out for that. But that's neither here nor there. So when it comes down to the situation, they're stating that John Prosser paid an associate to gain access to an Apple employee's iPhone, which was running iOS 19 at the time, and basically guaranteed a payment for some form of proof of what the new iOS UI and features or anything that's changed. Like he wanted, like he paid for it, is what they're saying, and that crosses the line. I guess apparently in the world of just journalism, you can't do that. You cannot, offer a bounty on something to get that information to be able to broadcast it to the world. So that is the underlining premise of why Apple is suing John Prosser. John took to X, formerly known as Twitter, and literally put out a post stating that that's not the way how it went down. However, that is the current story of how it went down. So obviously, the person who loses in this right now currently is the Apple employee whose job was terminated. Obviously, failing to protect sensitive information that belonged to Apple, right? There is security risks, and Apple knows about this. And Apple literally, I guess, in order you as an employee to be able to run around with an iPhone that has a demo software on it, you have to be mindful of who you let into your home and everything like that. So yeah, that's the grounds for the lawsuit. So it's not just because John Prosser decided to leak it and he was like 80% correct of how it was going to look or any of that stuff. It wasn't that. It was the fact that there was a bounty put as to what their claim is. John says otherwise. He says that's not the way of it. That's not what how it went down. So I guess when it goes into court, John has to prove that he did not put a bounty for that information. Apple has to prove that he did, and that's how he was able to obtain the information. So when it comes to even more on that whole situation, the way that they're saying how the bounty was put in place in more detail, basically they're saying that John went and said, hey, you have access to so-and-so. We can plan this out as to when we know so-and-so is going to step away for a good length of time, and you'll get that information to me. And so what the story goes to say, now this is alleged, this is not proven in court. So they're saying that John put the bounty out, that he was going to pay for the information. The associate was at the Apple employee's home, had access to that iPhone, was able to obtain the information to get into the phone, right? Whether it's a lock pin code or whatever. And they waited for the opportune moment, supposedly tracked where the Apple employee was going. So they knew that it would take a length of time for that person to come back. And that's when they got access to the phone. They unlocked it. The associate ended up doing a FaceTime call and called John and showed him the user interface and went through the operating system. And while they were on that FaceTime call, John Prosser recorded it, was able to get the information that he wanted, and then leaked the information out. So that's what they're saying transpired for the event in order for John to get this info. So yeah, we'll have to see. I'm going to be paying attention to this story as it unfolds. Of course, we'll see if it makes its way into court. John says that, if he has an opportunity to talk with Apple, it would be beneficial, and Apple will get the true rundown of what happened. But, again, he could go to Apple and he can explain how it went down. Apple can still maintain the lawsuit and take it to court and have to approve it in court, because that's what courts are for. Like, people got to understand, when you go to court, it doesn't mean that you're guilty. The courts is supposed to be an unbiased fair ground where each side has to present their case and has to present the evidence backing their case. And the one that seems more plausible, the one that seems to be more honest or more believable, is the one that wins its day in court. not always is it where the truth is victorious, right? It's just who can prove what. And so I honestly think it's gonna make its way into that. I think Apple is using this as a launch way, not to scare content creators into thinking that they shouldn't leak info at all. I highly doubt that's the reasoning for it. I think this more scares Apple employees into being more careful with having sensitive material owned by Apple in their possession. Because of course, the ways that these leaks come out, there's usually an employee for Apple that will reach out to a tech journalist and say, "Hey, I got still photos of iOS 26. Do you want them?" See, if it comes from that position, if it comes from when an outside source reached to you and gave you the information, that is different from putting a bounty on the information. Because the Apple employee or the employee of said tech company is actually fully responsible for the leak. They gave up the information willingly. They knew that they were breaking company protocol and privacy, so that puts them solely in the line of fire. Which most of the time, if you're caught leaking info, these big tech companies that you work for, you're terminated, you're fired, you're let go, you're going in different directions, you're part of an outplacement. Name your pick. But yes. So there are people who think that this is a scare tactic to scare content creators on YouTube from ever leaking out information. That is furthest from it. Apple does know that nothing is 100% secured, tight-lipped. There's even a chance that one of the engineers could be a leaker and be giving out info. Like there's no guarantee. So no, should content creators have to worry about talking about leaked information in fear of lawsuits? No, you don't have to worry. That's not something that's going to. Google's not going to come after you because of Pixel 10 rumors. Samsung's not going to come after you for Samsung, S26 rumors or whatever it is. Yeah, yeah, you don't have to worry about those types of things. That's not going to happen. Unless you're putting a bounty, unless you have a stack of money and you're like, I am going to pay for this information, then it's a whole different thing. And you can look into the context of that. Just online searching for tech journalism or just journalism do's and don'ts, right? And you'll get a rundown of some of the things that journalists are able to do and what they're not able to do, that can be considered unlawful. So as this continues to pan out, there are people who are weighing, their opinions on both sides of this whole thing. You got those people that are like, Apple's only being this way because iOS 26 is crap. And while that is a funny comment to read and everything like that, it is furthest from the truth. It's not really that. Because there are people who actually like the way iOS 26 looks. There are people who love the new liquid glass theming and everything like that. There are the people that don't, right? This is how tech is. It's always been this way. You either like it or you don't. But it's because you like it or you don't like it doesn't mean that everybody else agrees with you. It's like, the Pixel 10, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. There are those people who like it. There's those people who don't like it. And we're going to talk about that in just a few moments here. But, for this subject, when it comes to John Prosser, when it comes to Apple, when it comes to this whole lawsuit, the reality of things is that you cannot pay for the information. You cannot put a bounty to get information. That is, I guess, in the eyes of the courts, that is criminal. It is a chargeable offense. So this is why Apple does have a leg to stand on. All they got to do now is, from their perspective, prove that what they're putting out there as to being the reasoning for all this, that one, John put a bounty for the information. Two, the person who got him the information was paid for the information. That's what they got to prove. They got to prove that in court. And John has to prove that that's not how it went. The only part I can see this being bad for John is if there was any form of bounty that was collected by the associate that obtained the information for him. That would still, it would still be paying for the info. So, yeah, very interesting, very sad. A lot of people talking about it. And, finally, just kind of wrap this story up. Has there been some sort of suppression on YouTube? People were wondering about that because when you hear news like this, Front Page Tech being sued by Apple, you hear this type of stuff and then you think it's going to go viral. It's going to hit every tech publication on YouTube. Everyone's going to talk about it. And I believe people were trying to talk about it, but I also believe that YouTube was suppressing the story, not because they were trying to protect Front Page Tech, but they were trying to make sure that people weren't putting out super false allegations or trying to overhype this into being something that it's not. This is very sensitive, and I know that YouTube wants correct information put out. Every social platform does this, right? When you post a story on X, there are fact checkers on X, and if you post a story about something or you post, what your thoughts about something, they will put like a little fact checkers, kind of like a tag link, just under your post or just under the image or whatever it is on your X post. And it tells you a little synopsis of, what the fact checkers were able to find, letting you know if the person is following genuinely to the story or if it's, satire news or anything like that. So every other platform, Facebook does it. They do fact checking. They give a little synopsis of what is currently, going on out there regarding that story. YouTube does the same thing in a more different way because YouTube is a platform that's based on content, video content, and audio content. They will suppress a video that's uploaded and hold it for a little while just to make sure that things is being said in there is at least on the up and up. Like, no one can say that they have the story 100% perfect, right? There could be some things left out. There could be perceptions that are just, misunderstood. That's not what YouTube's looking for. They're looking for to make sure, like, someone doesn't go and say that this lawsuit stems from John Prosser pulling a Mission Impossible, breaking into Apple, and like, someone made that kind of story up. There are people, believe it or not, you guys may laugh, but there are people who would actually believe that, and so. That was the reason for the video suppressions. I don't think they're suppressing videos anymore. So if you wanted to do your own, for other creators, if you wanted to do your own video coverage on it, I'm sure if you recorded a video, edited and uploaded it, it wouldn't take several hours for it to process and then, be available to be, live for people to view. Because on that day where I posted my video, as a matter of fact, my video didn't actually take long. But I just thought it was crazy because it was like my video was live and two other content creators' videos were live amongst this entire thing. And when I looked through a search, there was like hundreds of videos from different channels that were ready to, be viewed, but they were at 0 views. And you start to notice that there's something wrong there, especially when a channel that is known to getting, fast views is what I like to call it, for it to be sitting at 0 for 2 hours means that, the push from YouTube was slowed down just to allow, I guess, YouTube to screen the video and make sure that there's no foul play in that video. So now if you want to talk about it, you should be able to, as long as you keep to the story and don't try to make things up. Trust me, I saw a ton of YouTube shorts that were just completely missing the mark on this, or completely, trying to build a video out of hype for their channel rather than the actual story, which we'll get into at the end of this podcast as I talk more about YouTube tips for content creators. But switching tracks away from that, at this point, anything that you want to say about that lawsuit, if you're watching on the replay, drop a comment. I would love to read your guys' thoughts regarding that. So we are switching up tracks here. We're on the road to the Pixel 10 and excitement. And yes, I have made decision. I am going to buy one. This year around, we got it a little bit different. And first of all, I got to correct the statement that I said in yesterday's video where the limoncello color, and people are like, why do you call it limon? Like, it's just, when I see Limon, right, I think limon, like Spanish, rather than lemon or lemon. It could be limoncello. I could be pronouncing it wrong, but it's just something that sticks because when my wife makes, when she makes pozole, when she makes menudo, and she always asks me, do I want limon in it? Like, yes, I do. Grab, squeeze. It's delish, but we're not here to talk about food. But anyways, that's the color that I want to go for. So that is my primary pick for this year. So To other people who dislike the color, yes, I am opting to do a piss yellow Pixel 10. Someone commented that on one of my posts, and I was like, "Oh, okay, piss yellow. That's new." But I have to correct myself because that's not the first time that that the Pixels have adopted a yellow shade. Right, I have to remember back to the Pixel 7 and Lemongrass. I forgot who pointed that out to me in a comment, but shout out to said person because I had totally forgotten. Right, so made a video talking about it. There are this year's colorway lineup when it comes to the Pixel 10 is Obsidian Black, Indigo Blue, Frost, which a lot of people are saying Frost is very close to white, but the way that it looks like to me, it looks like a very light shade of purple. Like almost purple white, but it could be the replacement to the actual shade of white, and then you have the limoncello or limoncello, however you want to pronounce it, the piss yellow Pixel 10. So those are the three, and I believe for the Pro has Moonstone, which is its one of its exclusive colors, and then 6 Pro had like an orangey color. Yeah, I remember that. But Moonstone is going to be like the Pro model color, which is like a grayish blue frosted tint. Which one's better, Vivo X200 FE or Pixel 9 Pro? Can't speak to either two because I don't own either two. Like, here's the thing, right? I could tell you which is better between a Pixel 9a and, let's say the iPhone 12, right? Because I own both phones. I use them. I don't like giving an answer to a comparison that I have not used either one of the phones, right? Now, just because I use a Pixel 9a doesn't mean that it exactly behaves as the Pixel 9 Pro XL does. So I can't give you an answer on that. I appreciate you asking me. I can't. Someone else wants to take a stab at it in the chat. Go for it. It's all yours. But yeah. Anyways. So for the Pixel 10, right? Smaller camera sensors is what people are absolutely getting upset for. Now, according to this, this source here, they claim that the 50 megapixel camera shooter is still going to be there, but it could be dumbing down the ultra wide. I think that majority of the leaks out there that is stating that the Pixel 10, so not the 10 Pro, not the 10 Pro XL, but just the base model Pixel 10. I believe the Pixel 10 will have a 48 megapixel shooter, dropping down from a 50 megapixel shooter. It is a 25 millimeter lens, and then you have basically a 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor. And then you got a 10.8 megapixel telephoto. So this time around, the Pixel 10 will have a telephoto lens, just like the Pro models do. And people kind of wonder why. And I honestly feel like that the way that they're going about this is that the Pixel 10 and then the 10 Pro series and the 10 Fold series will have 3 camera setups. I believe the Pixel 10a, the successor to the 9a, that will have only 2 sensors, a wide angle and ultra wide. And I think that's the idea. That's the way that they're going to go about this going in the future. Do I feel like that, the 9A was the last A series device and Google has no intentions of coming out with an A series? I don't think that's going to end because there is a market for getting a Pixel at a much cheaper price than the flagships, right? Guesstimations are saying that pricing is still going to be the same. So Pixel 10 to be priced at $799 for the base model. And the higher storage capacity Pixel 10 will be at $899, and was it $999 for the 10 Pro, and $1,099 for the 10 Pro XL. And then if the storage capacity goes up, obviously the price goes up like $100 or so. So pricing is guessing by a lot of publications to be the same. What I'm more interested in is, for instance, the display technology and LTPO, OLED, 120 hertz, HDR10 plus, 2000 nits of brightness, 3000 nits of peak brightness with a 6.3-inch display. Like, so display technology, that's what people are guesstimating. They're guesstimating the resolution at 1080 by 2424 pixels with a 20:9 aspect ratio. And that's a 421 pixel per inch density. Also stating that it has the Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2. So hopefully that is the case. But my big thing that I'm curious about is the Tensor G5, which here they listed as a 4 nanometer processor. Other places are listing it as a 3 nanometer processor. So we'll have to see once the day of launch, right? Because they're going to talk about the Tensor G5. They're going to talk about their shift from to TSMC, or at least make some form of mention that tensors are now being manufactured at a different foundry rather than Samsung's, right? So we'll get a little bit about that. We'll hear a little bit about that. Of course, the option sizes, 128 gigabytes of internal storage is the base, and then 256 gigabytes is the higher end storage capacity. But this time around, both running 12 gigabytes of RAM. And the reason that they would run 12 gigabytes of RAM is because Google is all invested in Gemini. Gemini is a very powerful AI. And it's a lot of fun to use. I mean, I know there's people that's like, I use Chat GPT, and it's like, yeah, cool. Chat GPT. Hey, awesome. Like, do you. I've messed around with Gemini, both on my smartphone, just having fun with it. And, on a side note, pissing it off. I like to irritate Gemini. I like to, I got the idea from when they showcased what Gemini can do and how much, lifelike it is. And when they did that little demo video where the person was naming everything incorrectly in the Gemini live video feed, and Gemini was correcting the user's description of said item, but also had a little bit of an attitude with it. Like, I just found that to be funny. So I go and do that all the time, and I irritate Gemini. Gemini must really, really, really dislike me. I tend to do that, but you have a lot of things that's like AI based. Gemini on PC, right? Which I'll be doing one here very soon. I will definitely post on YouTube, right? So be following the community settings. The community is opened up here on my channel. Be following it, because I will be posting when I decide to do fun with AI again and go in and see what we can create with Gemini Pro. So using Gemini on my PC and just building retro games and stuff like that. It's very fun to do. So Gemini is pretty powerful at what we have right now, and it's always constantly developing. So there's more to come in the future when it comes to Gemini. So that's the reason why it's got 12 gigabytes of RAM, is because obviously you're gonna need more RAM to run AI, especially run AI efficiently. And we'll have Gemini Nano, so we'll have on-device AI as well as cloud AI. So that's a step up, right, from like what it used to be before. Was like 8 gigabytes of RAM is what it was pushing. With the selfie cam, you got a 10.5 megapixel with a f2.2 20 millimeter lens, ultra wide. So the selfie cam is an ultra wide camera sensor, which I think is a good move, because having that that higher field of view, which it doesn't state here what the field of view is for the selfie cam. Usually they do, but I guess they don't have that, or they just don't really have an idea of what it could be, right? All cameras could record in 4K 30 and 60 frames per second, so that's a nice touch to it. Anything else, on the side of it, USB Type-C 3.2. It's stated to have a 4970 milliamp hour battery, a 29 watt wired, 15 watt wireless charging with the Pixel stand, and then 12 watt wireless charging with Qi compatible chargers. It does have reverse wireless charging, bypass charging, and I think some of those things might be correct, but not necessarily correct when it comes to the Google Pixel 10. Of course, these are just rumored, and that's what GSM Arena is saying. This is where I got the sources from, GSM Arena, and these are just rumors. It's not definitive. Nothing is definitive until August 20th, when we have the event. So, yes, I'm gonna go after the Google Pixel 10. So this will be like a return to a Pixel base flagship. Normally, I go for the A series, and that's because you pretty much get a very, very identical experience from the A series to the base flagship. With mainly just the material, the hardware is going to be different. This time around, with the 9 series, the 9A kind of developed its own identity, is what people are calling it. Not having a camera bar at all whatsoever, the camera sitting flush to the phone, and I'm hoping that they repeat that with the Pixel 10A. I think that would be a much better look for the Pixel 10A. But yeah, pricing still to remain the same. We'll see. I think the more interesting thing here is just how much more powerful will the Tensor G5 be, and how much battery efficiency will the Tensor G5 also be. I think that's the two main things here. Do I feel like that the Tensor G5 is going to be as powerful as the Snapdragon 8 Elite, Gen 2? No, I don't think it's going to be as powerful as that, but it's not saying that it's a bad chip, bad processor, or any of that type of stuff. What I'm saying is that Google's attention is on AI growth, not gaming. And yes, while people can make the argument, well, a more powerful processor chip could help AI, it can, but it's not a one-size-fits-all type thing. If that was the case, Google would be trying to replicate what Qualcomm has done with the 8 Gen Elite 2 or 3 or 4. They would be hitting on that measurable point. They're not. There's a reason for that. Okay. So everyone has their preferences. If you're somebody that is all about mobile gaming and Samsung Galaxy S Ultra series has worked out for you, it'd be probably in your best interest, if you want to upgrade to another Ultra series, right? It's like Apple fans who come over to the Pixel and then get mad that things don't work identically to an iPhone, and then they go back to iPhone and then they're like, oh yeah, the phone was crap and blah blah blah. No, if you come in thinking that this is going to be a revision of your iPhone, you're sadly mistaken, and you're setting yourself up for disappointment. If you're going in with the intentions of trying something new with an open mind, then you may be surprised at some of the things that the Pixels do good at, and maybe there's things that they do that you don't like. You can't help what you like or don't like. But to go in and say, I'm tired of iPhones, I want to switch to the Pixel because I want an iPhone experience with the Pixel, like, you're setting yourself up for failure, and that's pretty an unfair assessment, or at least guides for an assessment. Make it be like the iPhone. That's ridiculous. So anyways, yeah, so I will continue to keep popping out videos as we're on the road to Pixel 10. Someone was like, I started late this year. I don't start late this year. I just figured when we get close to the time, probably be the better time to talk about it. And I talk about it throughout the year. And there's some people who just don't care about Pixels, 6 months earlier. They don't care about the latest Pixel that's coming out because it's not even close to coming out. Some people don't want to be focused on it until it's going to come out. So, yeah. Anyways, that is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the Pixel 10. Anything else that leaks, I will be dropping videos to discuss those leak changes. Yeah, so stay with me on that. Lastly, I do want to talk more about YouTube. I popped out a video recently focusing on the YouTube algorithm to kind of change other content creators' perspectives about how the algorithm works. I've been on my journey of learning YouTube and the new way of YouTube, because YouTube is ever changing and ever evolving. And, I want to help my friends. I want to help, close colleagues. I want to help new creators to navigate through YouTube and be able to have a successful channel. I mean, for whatever reasons, I don't care what people's reasons are. I'm not here to judge anybody on their reasons for being a content creator. You could be in here because, you're all in it for the money, and that's totally fine. But at the same time too, there's people that's in here because they want fame. There's people that, want to, just have fun making content and growing. Don't mind me if I'm off camera for a little bit. But anyways, here is the realization of things that I said in that video. So key takeaways from that video, but you can always go back and watch that video. But the key takeaways of that video is that the algorithm doesn't play God on YouTube. It doesn't. All the algorithm is trying to do is learn who your demographic fans would be to get your video in front of them. Your job, and your job alone, is to make content worth watching. Okay? Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good deal. That's cool. So you got, a Samsung A16 and a Moto Razr. That's a cool deal. So there are people who's just like, I'm going to record a video. I'm going to say what I want to say in the video. I'm going to post it to YouTube and expect to have a massive following a week after posting that video. But what value are you really bringing to your videos? Like, what are you putting out there that separates you from everybody else? The competition is thick. But it doesn't mean that your video will never get discovered. It doesn't mean that at all whatsoever. What it means is that you have to sell yourself. You have to make yourself stand out from everybody else. If you're not doing that, then why is anyone going to invest their time into your channel? Why is anyone going to invest their time not only in subscribing, but coming back? So the algorithm doesn't play God with people's YouTube videos. It doesn't determine exactly how your growth is. If you want to know who determines your YouTube channel growth, your view counts and everything, it is the viewers. Put it this way. If you pop a video that you think is a pretty exciting video and you got a really good, title and thumbnail put up for it and everything like that, but your video, is pretty plain Jane and just lacking substance. If people are only watching 30 seconds of your video, is that success? You got to ask yourself that question. There are videos that I put up where people only watch a minute of it. It could be a 9-minute video. There's people that only watch a minute. This is why, and I'm not saying that anybody else has to do it for me. Watch the videos the way you want to watch it. If you guys only come for 2 minutes of my video and you guys only watch 2 minutes of my video and you guys click away and not watch the whole thing, that's fine. For me, when I watch B-Tech's channel, when he posts a video, I watch the entire video because I am trying to help him out. That's how you help out a creator. You got to watch the video, not 2 minutes of it and dip out, not 30 seconds of it and dip out. Because yes, what data you're giving YouTube is you're giving YouTube the data like, okay, the thumbnail was enticing, the title was hooking, but the video was crap. That's really how they're judging the videos. And if that's the type of data that you're feeding into the algorithm, then where does it send your video? It doesn't even have accurate data to be able to know, okay, this viewer likes this type of video. Your video would match with what they like. Let me show your video to them. Because that's how the algorithm works. I've been telling this to B-Tech for a couple of months now. I've been saying that, the algorithm just takes your video, it shows it to group A, which could consist of 100 viewers. And if 80% of those people like your video, or even if half of those people watch all of your video, the algorithm determines it's a good video. And then it shows it to group B, which can consist of 1,000 viewers. And group B, maybe 40% watched, but 40% watched 80% of your video. So then it still considers it a good video. And then it starts to push it out to like-minded viewers, those that like tech. But even in the tech space, you have to understand news goes up and down. Today, John Prosser is still being talked about with the Apple lawsuit. Next week, that could be a forgotten topic. So your video is going to spike. It's going to drop. It doesn't mean that your video was necessarily bad. So today's lesson with the YouTube tech creation side is that numbers doesn't always feed how good your video is if you're in the tech space. Now, if you're making, comedy skits, if you're making, action drama on YouTube, if you're an inspiring, film director or any of that stuff, and you're making those types of things, then yeah, of course, the long run of your video should suffice, because there will be people that will catch your content and watch your back catalog of things, which is something you also have to take into consideration. Those new subscribers who subscribe to you because they like your video, and then you get like a push because they're starting to watch your back catalog of videos because they liked, the video that attracted them to subscribe to your channel. And then you'll see it kind of dip because they've watched your back catalog and now they're not watching it because, of course, they watched it. They binge watched it. And so these things will happen. So ways of reading your analytics that could help you kind of figure out which videos do good and which don't. So the default analytics is 28 days. So when you look at your view of a video for 28 days, and you'll see how it does for 28 days, but then change it to 90 days, change it to, 3 months basically. And then look at your videos and see where they are. If you see a spike, right? So like it's normally like at 1,000 views, and you see a spike to 10,000 views and a drop back down to about 1,000 views. Look at that video that got the spike. That's a video that's considered to be an outlier, and see what was it about your video that got people to be attracted to it. You could actually look at the data breakdown of that video. You can see how long people watched it. You can see, if there was, a topical moment, a moment in the video, like say like in 3 minutes, 15 seconds, there was something about that point in time in video that people were attracted to. And it just got a lot of reactions. Like people hit the thumbs up button right at that moment, or they began to comment right at that moment. So there's those topical moment areas. There's what's called a spike, the area that really kind of pulled in the likes for the video and stuff like that. So those are ways of reading the analytics to best, be favorable to you in growth. If the video is too slow paced for you, run it at 2 times speed. That, or just like, be honest with yourself. If you watch a content creator's video and it's not engaging to you, then it's not engaging to you. You know what I mean? But because I know every video that I put out is not a banger. Every video that I put out is not going to be great. I know there's videos that you guys dislike that I've put out. Like, you didn't like the way that I spoke in it. You didn't like the tempo of the video. Maybe you didn't like the subject I was talking about. So not every video is going to be a win. I know this, and I wouldn't want my fans to watch every video from beginning to end just because they want to be on my good side and be in my good graces, but they actually didn't like the video. Because then how the hell would I learn what is a good video and what is not a good video for what I can produce? So you want real data. But at the same time, too, be honest, and don't tell a creator that you watch 100% of their video and you actually don't. I've been told this by people. I'm not gonna pop names out. I've been told this by people, but when a video is premiered on my channel, I'm in there watching. I watch because I want to see what you guys are posting in the live chat during the premiere, and I can see people that come in, they can, they say hi. They ask me how my day is. They're in there. And then all of a sudden the view count, because I can see it, drops. And they're no longer typing a comment. They're gone. And it's like, they dipped out. They're gone. No harm, no foul. But, don't also like, don't lie about it either. Like, don't lie and tell people, I watch every video from beginning to end. Like, don't do that. Be honest. There's no such thing as a perfect creator. Not every creator out there is so perfect that every video they put out is like gold. It's not. But you have to be able to evolve with the ever-changing of YouTube. The algorithm in itself with the LLM, or large language model learning, is trying to basically just understand. So like new creators who put out 100 videos and they're like, I'm not seeing much traction. You're not seeing much traction on the surface, but there's a lot happening underneath, right? So your YouTube channel is like a tree, and the more that you add, to the seeded area, the more roots spread in the soil. Strong roots means a very strong growth. So while you don't see traction in the surface of things, like maybe you pumped out 100 videos and maybe each video is consistently getting between 50 to 100 views, which on the that's a good amount of views for a 100 subscriber channel, you know, because you're getting like 50 to 100%, you know, view ratio. But anyways, that's because you're getting that and you're not getting 1,000 views, 5,000 views, 10,000 views. Doesn't mean that, you know, your video is not doing anything. And at the same time, you know, the YouTube algorithm is learning more and more about you, and it's learning more and more about what types of viewers are going to like your content. Once it has that data, that's where it pushes your videos too. So again, in the tech space, it's going to be hard because tech news moves really, really fast. Like I said, today people are talking about John Prosser. Tomorrow they could be talking about MKBHD. And the next day they could be talking about Linus Tech Tips. It forever changes. Pixel 10 could be popular today and may not be popular tomorrow. This is why when you drop a video, say like I drop a video about the Pixel 10 and it's got a spike in views and it's gaining and gaining, and then all of a sudden it plateaus and it hasn't climbed any higher, and maybe it starts to dip a little bit in views. It's because Pixel 10 was the exciting news for that time and maybe for the next couple of days. But now it's yesteryear's thoughts. This is how it is in journalism. So news moves way, way, way fast. So you cannot expect a steady incline all the time when you're a tech journalist. What you do need to do is begin using your analytics to your benefit. Look at it from all different angles and find your outliers. Find your videos that do really good and analyze that video. Find out what was it about that video that people really liked, and then replicate in future videos. But don't do it all the time exactly the same way. Keep it fresh a little bit. You know, because you don't want to burn people out for viewing your channel, which is something that is a human trait. We all get burned out from something. You may absolutely love pizza. Go one whole year of eating pizza 6 times a month for the next 12 months. And in the following year, I guarantee you're going to eat pizza less, or probably not even at all. It may be another year before you ever feel like eating pizza again. We all go through fatigue. We all go through burnout. As viewers, I'm talking about on the viewer side of things. So you also have to take into consideration that some people want to talk about tech right now because the Google Pixel 10 is coming out. But maybe, you know, after October, maybe no one gives a crap about tech. So how do you stay relevant? You know, how do you stay relevant to continue to pump content out? Of course, there are those people who are dedicated viewers, dedicated watchers, and they will come and watch your videos because they generally like your personality. And if you scored that type of subscriber, kudos to you, because they will help you during the slow times. And I'm addressing tech creators, if you didn't know. Slow times of the year where it's very slow. But also you could be using that data from your analytics to really kind of, you know, help you plan out a vacation and stuff like that. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, you as a creator, your channel views slow down between the months of March and May. So March and April, you get very low views versus the summertime, versus the fall time, versus the winter time. Well, maybe that should be the time that you set up a vacation for you. Because if you're getting low views anyways, it's almost like you're getting no views. And if you're not getting any views, then why are you focusing on putting out videos during around that time? You could go with your most, you know, your most blasé video. Like if you're always talking about tech, if you don't get views in March or April, but you take a vacation to like Barbados, so you go to Costa Rica or Puerto Rico, wherever you go, right? You could actually make vlog content of your vacation, right? You're taking a vacation because you're not missing out on, you know, view counts and ad revenue. You're not missing out any of that stuff really because it's your slow time. So take your vacation, and then you can also make content out of your vacation, which is content that's a bit refreshing for your viewers, because your viewers is getting a vlog of you on vacation. So you're sharing with them what you're doing outside of tech, which is a refreshing thing, right? You can use analytics to your benefit, but you have to read it right. And you cannot just be on the last 28 days. 28 days gives you an analysis of the last 28 days that will help you figure out how your videos did the past month, but also look at the 90-day, the 120-day, the annual. You can look at all that and get an idea figuratively how your videos are doing. And then of course, this kind of seems like it's counterproductive to that point, but also not letting vanity get the best of you. Some people are focused on the vanity numbers. Vanity numbers is subscriber count, right? You look at my channel, here's some truth about my channel, some realizations that people probably don't even think of when they look at my channel. Because when you click on my channel and you see 13,800 subscribers, like, okay, 13,800 people like this guy. That's called a vanity view. Vanity views only tell the tip of the iceberg, right? If we were the Titanic sailing in the ocean, then the iceberg that we saw above water, that's the vanity view, right? Because icebergs underwater are a lot bigger. We don't know how big an iceberg is underwater. We don't know how big a person is with the views they're getting. We don't know how little they are with the views that they're getting. Right? In the past 4 years, I've been getting very little views. Okay. In the past 4 years, I haven't been getting the types of views that I got back in from 2015 to 2017. Like 2015 to 2017, most videos were doing about 1,000 views, 1,000 to 2,000 views. Now my videos, they do about 50 to 200 views. That's a significant drop. But I'm not resonating with people today. This is this is why I've been on this journey of learning the new style of YouTube and trying to figure out things to help, and then sharing what I've learned with everybody else so that way they can pick up on it, they can learn about it, they can grow their channel, because that's what it's all about, is helping each other out. So anyways, vanity views only tells the tale. Okay, but do you guys seriously think that 13,800 people watch my videos every day? Well, of course not. You could definitely tell, because if they were, then every video I put out would be at 13,800 views, but it's not. And so you can see, when you look through your analytics, you can see your active subscriber fan base, right? When you look at, the analytics of who's watched, how many of them were active subscribers, how many of them were just finding it from the YouTube search results. When you see maybe out of 13,000 subscribers, maybe only 150 people of my subscribers watched, then that means that's 150 of active subscribers watching my video. That's my active subscribers, 150. Very, very different from 13,000, right? Yeah, of course. So you have to read analytics. You have to understand that vanity numbers aren't something to gauge your channel on. Vanity numbers is what sponsors look at, what collaborators look at, right? Helium Mobile can look at my channel and say, 13,000 subscribers, we want to partner with this guy. They won't know exactly how much active subscribers that follow me are active on my channel every day. The figurative number for me is between 150 to 600 subscribers are active with me weekly. And that's only because, some of those people like Google Pixels, so they want to see videos about Google Pixels. I got a person who literally commented on the video when I posted a members only video and said, I need your guys' help. I wanted feedback of what you liked most about my channel. And I got a person who was helpful. A person commented and said, I come to your channel for the Google Pixel videos. When you post videos about the Nothing Phone 1 or the iPhone, I don't care to watch those. But when you drop a Pixel video, I'm there. And I'm like, cool. So someone recognizes that I'm a Pixel fan and likes my videos, I guess, because they feel like I'm genuine with them about it, which I am. I'm not trying to blow smoke up, Google's ass. I mean, I've had people tell me that, like, oh yeah, you want to be part of Team Pixels, so you can get free phones from them. Team Pixel's done, and yet I'm still talking about Pixels. I think I pretty much proved my point. I like Pixels, and I will go out of my way to buy them. I don't need Google to hand me a freebie. So one guy recognized it, great. That's why if you notice in the past couple of weeks that I've been putting a little bit more content about pixels, whether it's the older pixels, telling you guys how they're running on Android 16 QPR Beta 3, or if it's an even older pixel running a custom ROM. I've been putting out more pixel videos because I know that a couple of people subscribed for the pixel videos. A couple of people subscribed for the Boost Mobile videos. So you guys notice that I've been kind of focusing on Boost Mobile again, because they like Boost Mobile news. They want to know the ins and outs of Boost Mobile. I'm providing that. So using your analytics is going to be your best tool. And again, you must understand the algorithm is not playing God with your videos. So the algorithm is not some AI that looks at you through the lens of your own camera equipment and say, I don't like you because you sound like you're like someone told me I'm like 40 years old and I sound like a kid. Like, okay, I got a light voice. I don't have a deep voice. I can try to fudge my voice to try to make it as deep as possible, but then I sound really stupid. Like I can only be me, right? And not everybody's gonna like me, but the algorithm is not one of those people. It's not like, oh yeah, you kind of sound like a young kid. I don't like you. Or, you sound like an Asian guy. I don't like you. It's not like that. The algorithm doesn't say, oh yeah, MKBHT is super popular, so I'm only going to focus on him and not focus on anybody else. No. Again, I will go back to what I said in the video that I released a couple of days ago. If your channel is suffering, you are at blame. Nobody else. Not an algorithm, not YouTube suppression, none of that. Unless you did something that got you shadow banned. But then again, that still reverts back to the main blame. It is yourself. So it's like, you pump out a video, you do no editing, you don't try to do things differently, right? So you regurgitate what everybody else is saying, you're not going to catch views. But if you put out a video, if you take time to edit it and like really edit the video, and you're trying things, and you're taking the time to build on your craft, it's going to resonate with viewers, right? I've noticed that my videos have been doing a lot better this month in July than what they've done in June. And what have I done differently this month? Not a lot. There's only one thing that I've been doing differently that I've been focusing on. You guys may have started to notice it if you notice the way that my videos are being put out. You guys have maybe noticing a lot of jump cuts and moments of sarcasm, and even, incremental zoom ins, right? And I'm zooming in when I'm either being sarcastic or I'm zooming in when, I'm making a point, right? I'm starting to play around with those, with those editings. And so far, it's been working out for me. I've been noticing that if I look back in like June and in May, majority of the videos released, especially in May, majority of the videos released in May are like 50 views, 63 views, 70 views, 100 views. If you look at it in the last 28 days of viewership, right? Right now, some of those videos are probably showing like 200 views or 300 views. But you look at the last, 28 days, they were below 100 views. Now look at my videos now. And in the month of July, a lot of those videos are above 100 views in the last 28 days. So in the very releasing of it, like maybe in the first 24 hours, they're very slow growth. But maybe like after a day being on YouTube or 2 days of being on YouTube, they are now getting to like 150, 200, 300 views. By end of the week of them being released, they're like at 500 views. And I've noticed that just because I've been putting more attention into editing. So the one takeaway before I end this podcast, the one takeaway is laziness. Do not be lazy with your video. And if you're a new content creator coming in and thinking that unboxing a product is going to get you those views, it may, depending on what's popular out there, but that's not the thing that's going to hold people to you. And if you want people to consistently come back to your channel, you have to give them a reason. Edit your videos. Put some attention to your videos. Do things differently. Try new things. You have to grow. You cannot be the same. That is one of my biggest mistakes that I passed on to all of you not to make. Quit doing the same types of video. Okay, change it up a little bit. Have your niche. Have the original thing about you that makes people like your videos. But also try different things. Change it up a little bit. Give it. Everybody gets flavor fatigue. Remember that. So don't always make the same things. Nobody likes cheap knockoffs. So don't copy the other successful creator. Learn from what they're doing that may be working for them and then put it in your own way. But don't go any further than that. Don't identically copy what they do. Okay. And stop blaming the algorithm. If you guys want to check that video out, go ahead and check it out. But yeah, for the most part, that's pretty much it for today's episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you guys did, hit the like button. If you guys missed out on the early, topics, go ahead and watch the replay so you guys can catch that if you came in late on the podcast. And stay tuned for more videos coming your way. I know I was supposed to go live yesterday, and I kind of switched yesterday's schedule with today's schedule. So I won't be going live tomorrow, but I will drop a couple of videos tomorrow and on Friday, and maybe go live Saturday. So I will see you guys then. Until then, be cool and be safe out there. Love you guys very much. Y'all be good. Aloha.